Man, I made a costly mistake yesterday, fellas. Costly in the backyard. Just so stupid. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. And my landscaper's, well, he's not going to lose it because I'm going to have to pay to fix it. My buddy Josh Hollander, great landscaper, I said, give me some, I hate weeds. I want Augusta National grass. Mm-hmm. I want the weeds gone. So a couple of his guys leave some bottles for me. One says kills weeds. Second bottle says kills everything. I go in my backyard and I spray it all over the grass thinking it would just get into the, search out the weeds.
Right, of course.
Dude, my whole, it's gone.
Killed the grass.
That is the stupidest thing you could ever do. I thought it just went on to the grass and got in, found the weeds and said, you're out.
Like it had its own IQ. Liquid would be able to figure that out on its own. This is why he needs help, right? Can't be
my front yard is Augusta National.
Right.
My backyard is Royal Birkdale on the hottest day in July.
So, so did you use the kills anything spray?
Everywhere.
By accident?
I just went around squirting that thing, and it was like, your weeds are gone. And 2 days later, I looked. It's Royal Birkdale.
Yeah, it's toast.
And the front, it was just, why I thought that, I don't know.
Well,
it's not good.
I mean, at least it's post-Labor Day, and it's going to snow in a month and a half anyway, right? So the grass will be dead soon. And
what do you mean dead? What I don't want to do is have to rip it all up and have to get it resodded.
Right, but that's not that difficult to do. I've put sod down. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it for a whole backyard. I'm sure that's a big project. But, hey, maybe you need to start from scratch. I have there's a neighbor who I don't know personally, about a street and a half over. They resod their grass every year. It's lunacy. But it is perfect noodles. This is White House, rose garden grass. It is.
He rips his lawn up every
whole
year.
Thing gets torched, and this guy starts from scratch. I swear he does this. I don't know. Maybe he's got nothing better to do, and he's like, "This is my routine. Gets me out of the house."
That's wrong, man. My brother's got literally Augusta National front lawn. Mm-hmm. He does not rip it up every year.
That's what this guy does. It's like a full sodding. Wow. It's wild. That's April into May. It's such a commitment. But his grass is mint. It is in mint condition throughout the summer. I'll give him credit.
I want to talk to the guy. You got to ask him why.
I will. I'll try to. I don't know him personally, but one of these days.
He must hate it, though. If somebody walks by with a dog and the dog takes a big moose on it,
right.
And then they half-ass it, kind of pick it up with the bag glove type of thing.
A little bag drag.
He must hate that person's guts.
Yes.
If you take that care of your lawn, I'm the other way. I've got a buddy back home in Edmonton, no grass. He did hard landscaping, and in the backyard, he did the fake grass.
Yeah,
it's
turf.
padded. Yeah, it's like AstroTurf. It's
right.
Unbelievable. That's what I want.
It is, but here's the problem. You go to resell your house, and the new couple shows up, and they're like, we want grass, idiot. We're moving on. That's a part of the problem is, I think, for the resale, yes, I agree.
I don't think anyone's walking hazy for real grass.
If you want grass, if you're committed to grass. How many times have you walked into a house with artificial turf? That's 1 in 1,000 houses, maybe.
But that's
I watch
the thing.
a lot
it costs
of
money
HG.
to do that.
I've never seen someone say, no, we're not doing it, not real grass. It's an insane comment.
I'm telling you, man, I think that would be something that would cause a lot of concern for people.
I would never
You know what?
walk
The guy
away
that
from
we
a
got in the line,
yeah,
he's a real estate mogul. He knows this. I guarantee you ask him, he'll agree with me. Go ahead.
Well, why don't you ask him? You go ahead. If you think you're leading the witness, you're talking about Johnny, right? Is that who you're talking about, or do we have someone else on the line?
Johnny.
It's a real estate mogul that I was not familiar with.
Yeah, I wasn't aware either.
Mike Johnson joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Apparently, you're a real estate mogul, Johnny.
Apparently.
Yes.
I like it.
I am of the belief that if you put down artificial turf, in replacing your grass, right, which I'm sure you've seen before, looks great, but it's fake grass, that there would be people, if you tried to sell your house, some people would walk in and say, this isn't for me because I want real grass.
Sure.
Thank
But
you.
there's also people like me in my current house that does not have a blade of grass anywhere. Nothing but beautiful, clean, crisp, fake, natural-looking artificial grass. I don't have to cut it. I don't have to do it. I take a blower and blow off the dirt. That is it.
You have a
that's
toupee front yard. You have a rug in your front yard.
That is my dream. That's my dream. Like there's no weeds, like anything. It's just perfectly manicured. It's perfect.
Yeah, just the right color. It's length. Doesn't get hot. It's all you need. No sprinkler systems required. All this.
Okay.
Yes, if you have little kids, you might want to play in the grass in a playground. But if
How
you
about a
have
dog?
anyone over 12, I have a dog. Dog has no problem working the artificial grass.
Is that right?
No problem whatsoever. Just dissipates into the ether, and it's never been seen before. O is on top of it with this one. I gotta have to say.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't realize that you had paid this guy off, and he already had his own artificial, turf set up. I mean, obviously, Johnny is a biased individual when it comes to this, Chad. But it's all good. Listen, I'm not anti-turf. Don't get me wrong. If I could do it, I would do it myself. I hate mowing the lawn. Hate it.
Yeah.
But
it's for some people, and some people want grass. But definitely, I think if don't have young kids, there's and you don't have a big yard. I think you couldn't do it up. Hey, you live on a palatial estate out in wherever you are out east. Like you can't do 2 acres of fake grass. But if you're in the city and you have a tiny little backyard on a 30, 40, 50 thing, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, all right. You sold me, all right? I'm in.
All right.
Forget it.
Done.
I'm in. You win this argument. I'll give you the grass argument. I'm not giving you any others the rest of the year. All right?
Another
I'll give you
win
the grass
for
one.
O'Win Willson squad.
O'Win Willson. Can you
Oh,
believe
what
that?
a dirty comment. Thank you for saying that.
Wow.
What a turnaround that was yesterday. I was glued. I could not believe it.
I was too, and I was living it, Johnny. We've been building that up for hours, man, waiting to see who this guy was going to pull out of a hat. Turns out it was my guy. It was my tag team partner. I got ripped off.
I would have sworn he was going to do the Dubas and look in the mirror and go, "You're my guy."
That's what
I kept. I swear he was going to do that. And then the 4 stages of Hayes, as we've got it up on the screen, just the surprise and upset. I mean, I was surprised too. I was sitting right there. It was awful.
I couldn't believe it. It was sickening.
Yeah. There's no actor in the world good enough to just pull off what you did naturally. Clearly, you were surprised. Anyone who thought that was canned, no way.
That's
that was
amazing.
A shock to you.
People are writing me. They're like, "You must have known." I'm like, "Do you think I can do that?" Like, no. I had no idea that they were pulling that maneuver. But anyway, we'll get to Luke Willson, that turncoat, a little bit later in the hour. Pierre LeBrun caught up with Brad Treliving. Pierre's got a piece up in the Athletic here, and Treliving, this is he's pretty open and honest. When asked about Nylander, he said, "That's next on my list. Like that's what we're doing here." They got Matthews done. They re-upped Keefe, or at least they, tacked on a couple of years. What do you make of this, Johnny? That Treliving, he's the new man in town. He's running the show, yet he seems pretty comfortable with the way things have been operating here for a long time.
Well, I think he feels pretty comfortable with the core 4 forwards and trying to retain them, or at least the 2 that are up right now, Mitch as well, and Tavares eventually maybe on a different kind of contract. But I think the reality is, I'm trying to think of when was the last time a star player got traded. Timo Meier got traded this past summer. He's a kind of a Nylander comp. And what was the return for San Jose? It wasn't mind-blowing, right? I think when you trade a top-flight player, it's very hard to get equal value back. You might get futures, you might get prospects, you might get some young players, but you don't get the same kind of star player. And the way the Leafs are right now in trying to win, I don't think they can afford to trade William Nylander for a first-rounder and a young because that's not really what doesn't match up with where their timeline is the next 3 or 4 years. So I'm not surprised by this. I also think, William Nylander, from all reports, just sort of unplugs in the summer, which is a healthy thing to do. That's not a criticism. This is a comment. And I wonder if, waiting to get Austin done first totally makes sense. and then get William Nylander back in the city, get him back right in your face with his agent, and then you can have a better sense of where everybody actually stands, what kind of contract he wants, what does he think he deserves, have those substantive conversations face-to-face as opposed to, when Willie's floating through Spain or Stockholm or wherever he ends up going over there and maybe doesn't feel quite as tangible, but when he gets to the city, he'll probably have a better idea.
What do you think happens, Johnny? Like, how does this story play out? If the Johnny Crystal Ball was in play, William Nylander, like, what happens?
I think he resigns an extension in November after a good start for 8 years at 9.25, 9.3.
It's a nice. I mean, I think both sides could live with that. Again, I'm not speaking for. I can't speak for either side, and William Nylander especially, because by all accounts it sounds like he wanted double digits. But I think a lot of people could live with that. I don't know how you guys feel. Like I always felt he would get something high 8s or low 9s. And I think when you're talking about those numbers, Johnny, for what he brings to the table, it's not crazy. Like, and given the comparables on your team too, I know they want to do that, but you compare, if he was on New Jersey, he'd be the highest paid guy, correct?
Whatever Meyer just got, he just crept over in the 9s. But yeah, I think he'd be essentially the highest paid player. Yeah. So
yeah, exactly.
I think that's where it ends up. Or if he's so dug in, then I could see, and I don't know if he will, because I think he wants to stay here. And I think, he may want 10. They end up at 9.55 over 8 years. Like $4 million is a lot of money, but not when you're talking about 80. Like, you can live with 76 versus 80. Like, it's not going to change your life. It's just an ego stroke at that point. So if this is where you want to be, then I think they work it out. But if he doesn't want to be here, then I could see them playing the whole year with him and letting him walk, and then just use the cap space. Because depending on how the year is going, if they're playing well as they were last year, if he's playing well as he did last year, I don't think they can trade him right now. Not with the way their team is built and what they're trying to do this year.
No, I totally agree with that. And I like the confidence that Trey Living's exuding here. I think it's long overdue. I mean, I guess Dubas said the same thing, the famous quote, "We can and we will." But it seems kind of relaxed even from Trey Living's standpoint. Like, the outside of this conversation and this negotiation is more panicked, among, I think, some Leaf fans and some of the media. Like, what are you going to do? It would be a disaster if you let him walk for nothing. And Trey Living is just saying, hey, this is next up, so we'll figure it out. And we like Willie, and he likes us, so let's see where it goes. And I think that's necessary. I think the Leafs need to exude that kind of confidence. And you have to have self-esteem that it is a two-way partnership, and you're offering William Nylander something he wants. So, yes, you got to pay him, and you got to be respectful. But what I also will find interesting, if and when this happens, Matthews is in, and they're all in with Matthews. If they get to Willie next, it would suggest to me it's like we want and need Matthews. We want and need Nylander. The door is open beyond that for who else gets that treatment. I would think it's likely Mitch Marner will get it.
Marner gets it, 100%.
I think he will.
Right.
I think he will. But, until that happens, you got two guys locked in. Like, could that be a situation where in 3 years, 4 years, it's Matthews and Nylander that are running the show here?
No.
And you think Marner is 100% a lock to be a Leaf for the next, 5 years, 7, 10?
Yeah,
What's your
100%
guess?
a lock is always not wise, but I think he wants to be here. They know how good he is, and when his turn comes up, he'll get his, and they'll be in a better place to get it for him because Tavares will be coming off the books. The cap will be up $10 million or something like that, and they'll be able to afford to pay him a little bit more than he's making now. Not much. Like, I think he's played himself to being is he the top 2 or 3 right winger in all of hockey? I mean, he's made the first team all league team a couple of years in a row or whatever it is. So he's essentially the best right winger there is. He'll deserve $11 million or whatever it is. But I'm assuming, I think that the big 3 will be here, and then Tavares, I don't know what happens with him and his contract's up, but I would assume that Mitch Marner gets taken care of the same way that Austin Matthews did, and that William Nylander is trying to do. The other thing about Willie that I would say, Hayes, is we applaud him for his confidence and his sort of aloofness about the world around him in Toronto. Like, he's the one guy who sort of just floats above it all, doesn't really seem bothered by it, whatever. There's also a great luxury in being a kind of a star caliber player, but you're not the best guy in your team. Like, if he went somewhere and was the best guy, and all the pressure and all the attention and all the checking and everything else that came with it, yes, he would get paid what he wants, but it's also not as easy in existence in that way as it is right now when he has Mitch and Austin around him. So, there's some advantages to being, I guess, the third fiddle on this team, both financially and maybe in the hierarchy, because you kind of just get to do your thing with some pretty good guys around you.
Johnny, when I go to Costco and I'm out in public and people slap me on the back and on the shoulder, which I cannot stand, I hate it. It's like, I don't mind a little stop and chat, leave talk for 5 minutes, but when they slap me on the side of the shoulder in the back and I don't know them, I absolutely want to go nuts. Anyway, the next comment, Johnny, is like, these guys are good players, and they always ask me, how come all we do is have to, as Leafs Nation, we got to just come up with all this money and keep them together and keep them paid, and they don't win? Mm-hmm. Is that just the cost of doing business, and you got to kind of keep talented players that want to play in Toronto, and that's just the way it is? Because that's what people say to me all the time.
Well, I guess my answer, if they were to, I don't go to Costco. That's not, I would never, I would not be able to tolerate that kind of volume of people around. But I think the answer is they haven't won in the playoffs, and that's fair enough. But they're very, very good, both as a team and as individuals. And this is what you got to pay people if you want them to stay. It's the reality of running a pro sports team. You should be happy that players that are good enough to earn $10 million want to spend years of their career here making those $10 million.
I guess that's just a frustration, Johnny.
Well, what you say, flash it back to Washington in 2008-9 when Ovi got a $100 million contract and Backstrom was making $7.5. Like, they went a decade with those guys and some other people around them. But John Carlson's been there forever. And those guys got paid a lot and made a lot and never got out of the second round until they finally did and won. So, yeah, this is how it works in sports. You can't, you might get more if you do well in the playoffs, but you're largely getting paid for what you do in the regular season.
Yeah, and I think, it's a frustrating history, clearly, that is built up and directed towards the star players as well, right? That's what comes with the money. You should feel great that these high talents, these high-end talents that cost a lot of money, want to play here, but what comes with being a high-priced talent is you're the reason you win or lose, in the eyes of many fans. So as a result, you're naturally going to be criticized. And I'm not suggesting these guys are complaining about this. I've never heard them complain outright about it. They go about their business, and it is what it is. It's a big hockey market. They all know what they're dealing with. But in terms of Sheldon Keefe's role in all this, again, in this LeBrun article with Trey Living up on The Athletic, he talked about alleviating some of the pressures of being a lame duck coach and the noise out there and all that kind of stuff. And I'm curious where you stand on Keefe's security and Keefe's role in all of this, where you talk about the regular season and being paid to be a regular season performer. Statistically, he's one of, if not the winningest coach in regular season history. So how far does that go for him and his reputation, and what has to come next for Sheldon Keefe?
Well, I think he's largely the same as the players, right? Acknowledged as a tremendous regular season performer, and like the players, hasn't done it as well as he wants to, as well as he probably needs to in the playoffs. I think he would say that, and the same way the players would say. He doesn't complain about it, but that's his reality, and I think he's improving. Apparently, a lot of people see Guy Boucher coming in and thinking, well, there's the heir apparent, but apparently Guy Boucher was a Sheldon Keefe suggestion. He wants him there for his tactical prowess, and so he's invested in trying to get it done here. I have two things about the contract for Sheldon. One, I don't think 2-year extension, I don't know, let's say he makes $2 million a year. I have no idea. He might make $5 million. Who knows? But let's say it's $2 or $3 million a year. That's not going to keep him on the job if they don't do well, right? All that is getting a larger severance package. I think the security comes with performance no matter what the contract is. The other part about it is I don't buy for Sheldon and for any other coach in the league that you can't coach in the last year of your contract. Mm-hmm. I just don't can you not play? I don't understand. Are the players going to not listen, not do what they're told because you're in your last year? Like, oh, we're going to sue this year to wait for next year when we have a different voice.
No kidding.
Like,
and Johnny,
it's such garbage. It's not true. So
lots of guys literally sign that 2-year extension. They get canned in November. Like, it happens a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know if that, security wise, but I do think with the new coaching staff, I think Guy Boucher and there's a Mike Van Ryn on there. Like, it'll be different ideas, and like that's not necessarily a bad thing for a group that's continuing to try to grow and improve.
Speaking of long-term deals, what did you make of the Jake Sanderson deal?
So I like Jake Sanderson. I think he's really good. Like, Noodles, we do Ottawa games. Yeah. We see him firsthand. I think by the start of training camp, he'll be the best defender on that team because he already is. I think he's just more well-rounded than Thomas Chabot, and so I think Ottawa is just baking in. Here's our core. We got about 5-6 guys all making $8 million effectively, or just around, and we can win with our best 5 or 6 players making $45 million. So that leaves a lot of money to round out the rest of our roster, and I think he belongs part of that core. They're assuming the cap's going up, and his game's going up, and his point totals are going up. So they're going to try to lock in some value out the same way they did with Brady and Stutzla. They have great value already 2 years into it. 1 year into the Stutzla contract, he's already, making it a bargain. So they're hopeful for the same, and I get what they're doing. I think he's really, really good. And he's only going to get better. He's played 77 games. Like, he's never even played a season yet. And I think he's really good, and they're counting on him outperforming that contract, and I could see that he would.
Well, and he's committed. You mentioned Stutzla. Stutzla's committed. I guess he was asked recently, I think he's back in Ottawa, about the DeBrincat situation because they were teammates last year, and then DeBrincat made it clear he didn't want to be there anymore, and he's not. He's moved on. He's in Detroit. And Stutzla said, quote, "If you don't want to be there, then good luck on your way," end quote, which is really not that harsh at all.
Right. But I don't mind it.
I like it. I like it too.
Dancing, everyone's going to make it. We're all for it. Like, hey, you don't want to be here? Good luck.
Exactly.
Play again. We don't need you here.
Yeah.
I like that. And I like that Stutzla at whatever he is, 21, 22, willing to say it out loud.
I do too, and I think it plays to the market really well. I think it's a brilliant play in Ottawa because I think there's a lot of sensitivity there. In fact, I think we all know there is.
Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of petty. There's stories of pettiness, like nonsense that was going on.
Right.
Who knows what's true and what's not? But if you don't want to be there,
you don't want to be there. See you
else.
later. And I don't know if it's a chip on your shoulder type of thing. But if you're in Ottawa and these guys, listen, they all got paid too. It's not like these guys are playing for free in Ottawa, right? Like Tim Stutzla loves Ottawa, but he's making $8 million a year to play there and work there and live there. But they need to build that up. Like Ottawa, I think they got to have some sort of like mean mugging type attitude to start a season here. And if you can find any angle, including DeBrincat, not only leaving, but leaving within the division with a team that's kind of on your heels a little bit in Detroit, and trying to chase what you're trying to chase and make the playoffs for the first time in a long time, so be it. Go for it. Because DeBrincat is going to get booed like to the 9th degree when he comes back to Ottawa. He is going to get crushed by that crowd. And he probably knows it, but that'll be fun. That'll be a fun homecoming.
Should he be? I mean, I'm with you 100%. Like, I don't know how much motivation I ever took. Like, the guy went to go back, play at home. It'd be like if I was playing in St. Louis, I'm like, oh, the Leafs want to sign me. I think I'll go play for Toronto. Like, would anyone hate on you for doing that?
Oh, they will. People in St. Louis would, Johnny.
Will.
The fans
sure.
will.
Yeah, the fans will. The players don't care, though. I mean, do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like at least publicly last year in Ottawa, I know he didn't have a great year, but he was and he said all the right things. It's not like he trashed Ottawa on the way in, while he was there, or on the way out. So I don't know.
Right.
Yes, he'll get booed mercilessly. I'm with you. I'm just not so sure he deserves to be.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, but here's a guy who I thought he was a good soldier. You couldn't tell. Like, I don't know if he's unhappy or not. It took him a while to settle in. I know he looked a little bit out of sorts, though he did have pretty good chemistry with Giroux. But, ultimately, I would never judge a guy because he leaves and wants to go home or wants to choose a different scenario. I think fan bases are a lot more sensitive. Obviously, certain fan bases, too, just based on marketplace, smaller marketplace. Hayes, you talk about it all the time with the Raptors, and the Canada thing when it comes to the NBA. Certain fan bases are sensitive because maybe it's not a destination of choice for everybody.
Absolutely.
So that happens.
It's very sensitive. But you're going to love the guys who stay, and you're going to love them if they go out of their way to prove they really genuinely want to be there. It's almost the easiest PR card you could play.
Yeah.
Best thing you can do. Anyway, Johnny. All right, pal. We'll let you
hang on a sec. A sec. Johnny, what do you like about O'Win Willson, Team O'Win Willson? What do you like about it?
Well, I mean, anytime someone could put together a good punny name, you got me hooked. Mm-hmm. So that alone, although Joe from the Bridge really struggled with the font, I got to tell you.
Oh, my God.
Really lost in the fourth spelling. You're like, Joe, spell it. I'm like, oh, boy. Here we go.
Yeah, that was Buckner, like, right through the legs.
It was. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, I laid it out for the grappler to relay it to Joe from the Bridge. And then they had this big reveal, and it was like, I'm like, no.
No.
Well, what are you going to do? It's over now, and I wouldn't say it's all good, but it's happening. O'Win Willson, Team O'Win Willson is officially established.
Hayes and Co.
Hayes and Co. Hayes and Co. Not Hayes and Company. That's a goofy name. Hayes and Co. Hayes and Co.
He's a sole proprietorship at this point. He's got no other employees in the Co.
That's right. Yep. Hey, maybe you can get in on the Co someday, Johnny. I might have to lean on you, man. You know what you're doing, Mystic Mike. Bring it over to the NFL. I might need your help. So make sure you buy that phone. All right, buddy. Talk soon.
All right, boys.
Thank
I'm going to go blow off my lawn. It's got to look great.
Yes. Go do what you got to do to your lawn. I'm sure it's in mint condition. There he is, Mike Johnson, our TSN Hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota. Check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory. Arriving daily. It's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com. Speak of the devil, Benedict Arnold, Shawn Michaels, Hollywood Hogan's coming up, Luke Willson.
Who's this guy you keep hashtagging? Vinny Laverty or
Marty
whatever?
Jannetty. It's such it's an old school
It's so
thing.
awesome. Yeah.
They were the Rockers. They were a great tag team, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. And one night, Michaels turned on him and just
booted him right
through
in
a
the
window.
throat.
Kicked him right through a glass window.
Yeah, he
turned
threw
on
a
him
window.
and was like, "We're out. I'm not doing this anymore." He went solo, and Marty Jannetty just had to.
Scott, give us the video of just the drop kick of this Jannetty character.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get the Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels, and Team O'Win Willson. They're 1-0. Credit where credit's due. It was a good pick last night. Luke's coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Mail It In Friday is brought to you by Boston Pizza, the best place for any family meal. Plus, for the month of September, kids eat free with minimum purchase when you dine in. So grab the kids and hustle into your local BP tonight. I think you guys owe an apology to any kids that might have been at a Boston Pizza watching that last night, because it was sickening what happened in the 6 p.m. hour yesterday.
Wow, we got to nickname
sickening.
you. We have to do we call you just Marty now? Marty Jannetty? I watched that video 50 times.
There it is. Look at Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. Just, yes. Woo, we're back,
Best
baby.
buddies.
Watch this. Here goes Marty. Hey, Marty, good stuff, man. Good stuff. He just gets buried. He gets absolutely buried by that turncoat. Shawn Michaels.
Doesn't he throw him through the window at the
He
end?
throws him through the window right here. This was me last night during the scripted announcement.
Why did that happen? Like, what did that guy do?
Well, I don't know.
Nothing.
They were champions. They were one of the great tag team champs of all time, and Shawn Michaels thought he was better than Hazy Jannetty. All right, here's Luke Willson joining us now on the Overdrive program. Go. You got me all flustered. I don't even know how to introduce you anymore. What's going on, Luke?
What's going on is O'Win Willson is 1-0. Let's go.
Pardsy! Talk to me, Pardsy. How you feeling today?
You know, I sat there, and it took some brass to do what we did. Take the Lions, on the road. But when you have a great team like O'Win Willson, you make those kind of decisions, and they pay off. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Tough to argue.
I think the symmetry of both parties of the team are former athletes, and it works. It works.
100%. I almost feel bad. At this point, but I agree. I got to agree with my Partsy there, And like I said yesterday in my note,
hold on a second.
Savant.
I need a
Hold
Partsy
on a second
so
here,
badly.
because you do need a Partsy. But what I'm like, if you guys realize that if Kadarius Toney didn't go out drinking all night, then you guys would have lost.
Right.
Like basically,
Noodles.
because Mahomes was fine.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with that more, and it was weird. Last night, game ends. I jump on JNSC, and I basically say that exact point. If I'm a Lions fan, am I happy they won? 1,000%. They're 1-0. It's a big ordeal. Road win, Kansas City. But on the flip side, we've been talking about this Lions hype, blah, 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 blah. They didn't really play well. You just nail it. Kadarius Toney even catches the last ball, and we're sitting there saying it's the same old Lions. Now, granted, they got out of one. They got Seattle next week. They win that. I'll sit there and I'll start putting the stamp of approval on. But to me, the Lions didn't really answer any questions last night as far as whether or not this is a deep playoff run team or they're a mediocre team. They're definitely good. But, boy, did I catch some heat. Boys, I caught some heat from the Lions fans for that. They're coming after me.
Well, Luke, in all fairness, you got to walk before you can run, man. Let's not talk about a deep playoff team. They got to have a successful regular season first. Everyone loves to just blow it up big picture. It's not just, are they a solid team? Can they get cooking here and gain some momentum? It just goes right 0 to 100. Are they a deep playoff team? How about we just watch them play and see what they can do?
I mean, I totally agree. But my thing is, watching them last night, quite frankly, they looked like trash for the majority of the game.
Thank you.
I mean,
thank you.
They looked so bad. You look at this game and you dissect it, and it's like the Chiefs are clearly not the same team with the guys they've lost a receiver, and then two of their best three players are not playing. And it's like the Lions scored 2 touchdowns offensively. They were a gift from the gods on the pick six. And one of the touchdowns should have been a stalled drive on their own 20 that they ran a fake punt and got that on, I think, 4th and 2. So, again, crazy call there. The ball really bounced their way, which I will say for Lions fans, it never bounces their way. So that is a big win in itself. But I agree with you, O-Dog, when it's I was almost shocked at how poorly the Lions executed offensively. And defensively, they did a lot better than I thought. But, when you have, I think, 6 drops as a team, 4 drops with one single player, it's hard to have a drive in this league. So that's kind of where I was at, I was happy for the Lions. But at the same point, I was like, this team did not, show me anything, in my opinion.
Well, it does seem like the bigger conversation revolves around the importance of Kelsey, to a lesser extent Chris Jones, because, again, Kansas City's defense played pretty well without him last night. But as O pointed out last hour, they got to go to Jacksonville next week. And you start 0-2, man. That, I don't care how cool, calm, and collected you think you are. You start 0-2, there is an element of panic that's going to seep in. It has to. It almost feels like a must-win next week, and it's week 2.
I agree. And that's the thing about this league. Even with 17 games and how competitive things get down the stretch, this loss might come back to haunt them for home field playoff. You don't know how the chips are going to fall. But on top of that, I also thought it was such a stark difference from what we are used to seeing for the Chiefs. And they did so many uncharacteristic things last night that I agree in the sense of if they go 0-2, is it a full-blown panic? No, but I'm certainly, sweating this a little bit if I'm a Chiefs fan, just because, again, it was like a team that you didn't even recognize last night with the self-inflicted mistakes, the drop balls, the ability, it seems like for the last 3 or 4 years, when they're in a game like that, Mahomes always found a way. And quite frankly, I thought he did enough last night to do it again. But the guys around him didn't make the plays. And you take, Kelsey out of that equation. And it was not the best cast of characters last night. And it was a little bit shocking for me to watch as a fan.
Right. Dude, is there a monster swallowing aliens behind you? Where are you?
I'm I'm in the middle of a cornfield in Amherstburg, Ontario right now on my bicycle. And those are trucks zipping by me.
I was freaking out a little bit too, man. When you said you're in a cornfield, I'm
Thought he was at
happening
an aquarium. It sounded
Are
like.
you in your underpants running away from somebody, or what the hell's
Texas
going on?
chainsaw.
That's incredible. I was hoping that the iPhone wouldn't pick that up, but apparently it does.
Very sensitive technology here. It's all good. All right, let's get to the picks then, all right? Because I haven't even made a pick. Okay, good for you guys. You won because Kadarius Toney stinks. But we got a lot of games.
You got a chance to answer, Hazy. You got a chance to answer.
And I intend on answering, all right? So the 1 o'clock game, there's some great games this week, man. Some outstanding games that I think a lot of people are going to have circled. Like, this is a weekend you got to have your A game when it comes to flipping channels. We are going to play the Bengals-Browns game for the 1 o'clock window. Okay, that is my game. Bengals -1.5 at the Browns. Joe Burrow just got paid last night. Joe Burrow is 100% healthy. I think Deshaun Watson has the chance to really be one of the stories of the NFL this year, as much as people may not want that to be true.
I don't think he's going to win the comeback player of the year.
I don't think so either. I don't think he'll be getting votes for that. But if he is dominant like he was a few years ago, he's still only 27 years old. Like, the Browns have got a lot of talent there. And this is a divisional game. The Browns, they hate on the Bengals. It is an interstate game, right? We're talking the state of Ohio. With all of that said, Bengals -1.5. I'm on Cincinnati here. I think they win the game. It's effectively a pick 'em anyway, -1.5. I think the Bengals win by at least a field goal here. I think they're possibly the best team in the AFC. Considering what we saw out of Kansas City last night, I think it's a really tough division. I think the Browns will be good this year. I wouldn't be shocked if they won 8, 9, maybe 10 games, maybe. But I think the Bengals are going to win 12 or 13, and I think it starts week 1. I'll lay the points on the road. Bengals -1.5.
Wow.
Yep. I love it.
I think that's actually a gift for us.
Really? You like the Browns plus 1.5 at home? The Browns of all teams.
Cincy, the last couple of years, they haven't exactly come out of the gates very strong.
Well, that's
Do you
valid.
pay attention?
I'll grant you that. Okay. All right. You got anything to say about that, Luke?
My thought is that, I would definitely, I'm not going to lie to you, take the Bengals, but it almost seems too good to be true. Mm-hmm. So clearly Vegas knows something that we don't, similar to the Lions last night. So the Browns are going to cover. That's just the bottom line. Okay. Everyone on planet Earth is taking the Bengals, so the Browns are going to cover. That's all I got to say.
Great
it does
comment,
scare me.
Pardsy.
Now, Vegas doesn't offer up a lot of gifts, and if they do, there's a reason behind it. So it is a little bit concerning on that front. All right, Packers at Bears. Bears are laying -1.5. This is a game that could be very sickening for me because I'm a fan of the Packers. You guys can really jam me up here. Big battle of the NFC North, biggest rivalry, longest standing rivalry in the NFL. Who do you guys like? Bears -1.5 at home against Green Bay.
Pardsy, take it away.
Yeah, me and O-Dog spoke. The football savant he is, we both agree. This is the biggest layup on planet Earth. We're rolling with the Packers. They might win this game by 14.
Wow.
I
thought we said 16 on the phone, but
you're kidding me. God, this is so annoying.
Best buddies, eh?
Best pals. Just Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson.
A lot of bro time this summer.
Yeah.
A lot of bro time.
The wedding crashers.
Blow it up, yeah.
You speak about Matt LaFleur. This guy was supposed to be a savant. He obviously butted heads with Aaron Rodgers. We finally get to kind of see him and what he is like as a head coach post Aaron Rodgers. The new quarterback looked great in the preseason. Romeo Dukes, Christian Watson. These guys got a lot to prove. They're going to have a little bit of pride there, but they smoked the Bears. And quite frankly, I thought the Green Bay's defense last year really underplayed their talent. They did not have a great year for what everyone thought they would, how they would play. And thgoing to come out this year and fix everything up. And I don't believe in Justin Fields. This is the easiest pick I'll have all year. Pack for sure.
All right. You're going to take the points here. You're getting +1.5 Packers at Bears. All right. You guys can have that game. Cowboys-Giants. Cowboys laying 3.5 at New York Sunday nighter. This is a great game.
Ooh, boy. Be careful here.
This is a very difficult game to pick because the Cowboys are a very talented team. They had a great season last year. But the Giants, talented team, they had a good season based on their standards. Where you just said about Detroit, I think, applied to New York, right? It's not about winning a Super Bowl. It's about crawling,
Dallas,
walking, running, sprinting.
First game of the year, Dallas likes to saddle up top of the stall, Hazy, and you know what they do. Delta dump.
Sky dumps.
Delta dump.
Is that what you're suggesting? A Delta dump, a biohazard in New
just
York?
Just an absolute steamer.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the points here. I will take the New York Giants plus 3.5.
Wow.
I think week 1 of a season. This is another big rivalry game. New York at home under the lights. Dak Prescott, I think, throws at least one pick, possibly multiple picks. And I think the Giants are a pretty good team. I think Dable's a really good coach. I want to see McCarthy calling the offense, right? What did we see last night without Eric Bieniemy? Some confusion. And now you got Kellen Moore, who's left. He's in L.A. Mike McCarthy, he doesn't know how to use his timeouts. Clock management's a mess. Now he's got to call plays. I'll take the points plus 3.5. I could see the Cowboys winning this, but I think it's a field goal game. I do. So I like that plus 3.5 with the Giants at home. Divisional game, Sunday nighter. I feel great about my picks. I
mean,
go ahead.
In all fairness, I thought you were nuts, but I'm gonna keep it honest with you. That was a pretty good explanation. When you phrase it like that, I see the logic in what you said. McCarthy has had some, issues with clock management. It is a divisional game. They're usually close. It's just one of those things where when it comes down to it, the Cowboys will probably win by 4.
Okay. Well, we'll find that out. And luckily for me, I don't have to listen to your explanation anymore because it's Hayes and company. And there's no company. It's just me. And we'll see what I've got this weekend. And then you guys are going to be on the clock. Jets, Bills, Monday night. I was saying this earlier, Luke, because I don't believe there's a chance the universe can continue to exist with the Lions and Jets in the playoffs at the same time. So I don't think both are going to make it. But the Lions winning and covering last night, if you guys take the Jets to cover and they win on Monday, that'll be a tough start for yours truly. So we'll see. We'll catch up Monday. We'll let you get back on the bike. Do your thing, buddy.
Can't wait. See you guys Monday.
All right, pal. There he is, Luke Willson. Still my buddy. Still love Luke Willson. A lot of great history there, right? It's like when championship teams get back together 10 years later, 20 years later. Immediately, it's like jumping back on a bike, pun intended.
It's like Gretz when he gets back with Mess. They're still buddies.
Still buddies.
Right? Yeah, but there's some animosity because Hayes, there'll be a time where, maybe you're struggling this year and you're looking at those two and you're like, what the hell just happened? But you can redeem yourself this weekend with your picks. And it sounds like,
I feel good about my picks.
They sounded good. They look good. Yeah,
I'm feeling good. We got 3 big divisional matchups. Bengals, Browns. I'm on the Bengals minus 1.5. Packers, Bears. You're on the Packers getting plus 1.5. And Cowboys, Giants Sunday night. I'm taking the Giants. I'm taking the points plus 3.5. So there you have it. Those are going to be big games. All those lines courtesy of our friends at FanDuel. We'll get to our best bets brought to you by FanDuel later this afternoon. Keegan Matheson coming up from the park. Some big news for the Jays today. Bo Bichette reactivated. He is in the lineup tonight. Danny Jansen with some surgery, so he's out for the rest of the regular season. Door's still open for if maybe they make the playoffs and he could factor in there. So we'll catch up with Keegan. And Dear Hazy B making its triumphant return. We all need advice. And who else would you rather listen to than the three of us handed out? We'll do that in about 45 minutes from now. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Well, it's the end of the road for Canada basketball. I guess they're chasing a bronze. What's amazing is that they lost to Canball. They lost to Slovakia. Yeah. The Americans lost to Germany. Serbia. They lost to Serbia. And the Americans lost to Germany. So you've got Canada, U.S. for bronze, which I don't think anyone saw coming. I think most people anticipated that would likely be the final, but that's the beauty of European basketball, man. They show up, and they love playing international ball.
You think there's going to be a give-a-crap meter for that game? There's got to.
I'm concerned that it might be a little bit low, but there is a big rivalry there, more so for the Canadians. I'd be disappointed if Canada didn't show up and really play, right? I don't know if the Americans look at Canada as like a true rival, like they do in hockey and maybe in other sports. But, the Americans, there are a lot of young players. So, like, a bronze is clearly not the reason you would go over there. I'm sure they're shell-shocked. Most people would anticipate, of course, the States is going to win. But it's not like it's, the best of the best veteran Americans. A lot of it is younger players. So I think they'll show up and play.
Right.
But I think the Canadians absolutely have something to play for here because this is a big, big upset potential, right? If you beat the U.S., even if it is for bronze, that's substantial. There isn't a lot of history of that. So
No.
I hope they show up and play. I expect that the Canadians will. The Americans might be a different story. It could be.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be shocked if they're ready to pack it in already.
Americans lost to the Germans?
Yes. Yeah.
World sports now. That's what
That's
it is.
it,
World
man.
sports.
It's an international sport. That's
There's
right.
there's another team where the complaining starts. Like some older American basketball players are like, "Look at that team. That's not the dream team." It's just like, come on.
Oh, these guys will get chirped now.
Any USA
no.
team basketball that goes over to something like that, that's not like dream team like, they
Hmm.
just get. It's just like, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's one dream team.
I know.
There's one dream team. You're never going to be able to replicate that. And
Well,
that
there was a few.
There were others that were great that came together as they should. They've got the best players in the world historically, but the dream team, like, they were destroying everybody. Like, it was comically almost uncomfortable.
It was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was embarrassing how much better they were than everyone else. It was the Globetrotters against the Washington Generals every single game.
Yeah.
All right, hour 3 coming up. We'll head down to the park. Keegan Matheson teeing up Jays Royals. Dear Hazy B at 6:30. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.